No, good. Well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. But just from your Instagram, I appreciate this so much because you seem to be constantly all over the place. And I wonder, are you traveling more now than you did when you were a professional athlete?
Oh, it's a good question. I would say almost just as much. And it has been busy. And as you say, like I seem to be traveling here, there, and everywhere, up and down from mainly down south, I would say. But the traveling being an athlete is, I would say, it's different, very different. Because when you're traveling as an athlete, you're traveling to a hotel, you're then going to the arena, and then you're back to the airport. And what I'm doing now is a right variety of different things. So it's every day is different, and that's what makes it exciting.
Am I taking for, are you having a bit more fun just now? You've seen a bit more sights. You're having a time and locations to actually go out and explore a bit more than going hotel, event, airport, hotel, event, airport.
Absolutely. And just now, I guess it's kind of experimenting what I enjoy doing, but then again, making the most of the opportunities that I've been getting and been given. Because I was very lucky that I did retire at the very top, and a lot of athletes can't say that they did that. And it is a real privilege for myself to be able to say that I retired probably with every kind of championships under my belt, and especially this year being European, world and Olympic champion, it's definitely opened a few doors, and I'm very lucky that that's the case.
I want to get to all that, and obviously you did leave the sport top of the world, but I mean, come tomorrow, the 11th of February, I think it looks like you're going to take another title. I mean, Doddie Aid, you are in the lead.
We are
ahead.
the
North and Mids.
Like Doddie, it's such a great cause, isn't it? And every year I've been getting the miles in, and you support it as much as you can. And what these guys are doing for motor neurons is it honestly is, it's unreal. And especially losing Doddie himself this year, I think it makes this year even more special. Yeah. And a big game tomorrow at Murrayfield, where that ball will be getting cycled up from down south, and hopefully we can have one last really big push and raise. I think we're hoping to raise about £2 million. So
yeah, it's fantastic, and and those cyclists, they're going to roll into Murrayfield tomorrow. I think it's around 3 p.m. before kickoff. What an effort! I mean,
like God, you take your hat off to any of these guys. Like I get on my bike for an hour and I'm struggling. Never mind how many hundreds of miles it is they're doing. But as we said, like it's all for a fantastic charity. And I'm actually running the London Marathon this year in April for Doddie. And I'm dreading it, but I'm also I'm really excited because I know it's for such a great cause. And every day I begin to hate running more and more. But I'm pushing through.
I was going to ask you about that because I think recently on Instagram you had a little hashtag marathon training, and I wonder if it's London she's going for.
Yeah, it is London.
The training that you do for that is obviously completely different to your professional career, but how out of your comfort zone are you from what you're used to training for curling to preparing your body for 26 miles of pain?
Do you know what I think it is? I think having been an athlete all my life, I've always got one big goal and I've always got one big driver, and I love challenge. So when I retired, I kind of finished and I didn't have a lot of that ahead of me. And I am good friends with Steve Cram, and he was like, what about the marathon? And I was thinking, do you know what? I've always said I wanted to do a marathon, so why not? So Steve's he's looking after me in terms of programming and things like that. So I'm very, very lucky. But it definitely is that challenge and that kind of goal that I'm driving towards, because all throughout my career, I've always had that. And when you retire, that suddenly stops and the routine stops. And that can make that's been hard. It's been very, very difficult. But because I'm doing this, it means there is a reason to still train and to know that I'm doing it for such a great cause, and it will be definitely worth it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, to have the team that you've got around you like Red Sky, and I've interviewed many former rugby players, professional athletes and things like that, but that structure of, say, Red Sky around you, how early in your career were you thinking of the future? Maybe retirement wasn't on the radar. If you hadn't got gold, who knows where you would be if you hadn't achieved the successes that you had. But how far ahead had you looked, and had you started preparing? Because I've spoken to many athletes that they're so engrossed and they're so involved in their sport to achieve as much as they can, they'll start looking at that once they're retired.
Yeah, like Red Sky have been great because, as you say, they've got so many world-class athletes, and you learn from every one of those athletes as well. They put on a lot of great days, and you meet them, you chat to them, and you're all good friends. And I've actually met a lot of friends through Red Sky, as well as them helping me look after my diary, which, as we say, is manic just now. But I think like what you say, when you do retire, I think it's important that you do have a vision of what it is you want to do. And for myself, I didn't know I was going to retire on the back of Beijing. It actually, like, it kind of, the summer was there and things were manic and we were busy. We were doing a lot of appearances as a team, and the season kind of drew closer. And I'll be honest, I got a bit scared. I was scared to go back on the ice, because having achieved what I did, the only way is down, isn't it? And I realized that, you know what, I finished at the top of the sport. Why push myself to try harder? Why put yourself through that? Because every athlete will be able to tell you that a 4-year cycle, that's what the program evolves around, and that's what each athlete evolves around. And at the end of every 4-year cycle, there's always change. And I think it was that change that was scaring me. So I definitely am regretting retiring. Right now, I'm really enjoying it. I feel a lot more kind of free, away from a kind of set routine, a set sport. And yeah, as I say, just enjoying what opportunities are coming my way.
So is that something you've embraced? Because so many athletes are told, even when you're in a hotel breakfast, is at this time, this is the clothes we're wearing today. You got to have that tracksuit at 4 o'clock for the photo shoot. Have you embraced that, or do you still sometimes look around and think, oh God, I need to be more organized? Or have you quite enjoyed having your own mind to sort of set your schedules and working with Red Sky to sort of open up what the future may hold?
Yeah, so like, it's one thing that I have missed is routine, because when I wasn't away competing, or even when I am competing, you have a routine. You know, you're getting up X amount of hours before a game, you're eating your breakfast, your lunch, dinner, whatever, like 2-3 hours before a game, and you're in a set routine. And when we're here in Scotland as well, you're up I think I was up about 6:30. I was in the rink for 7:30, and then you're on ice till 12, and then gym, and then back on ice, and every day it was the same. And when you retire, it's something like, oh, I don't have to do that. And sometimes I need to be quite strict with myself, or I can get a bit lazy. I need to know, right, maybe put an hour aside a day to deal with my Red Sky emails or chatting to Becky and Rowan, and also putting a bit of time aside to carry on doing some training, because that's what I love doing and I want to do that. But it's very different, and it still is a challenge to not have routine, but I'm just going to have to get on with it, aren't I?
That's it. Can I ask, how's the diet? Have you let a few things slip?
Well, let's just say this. If someone said to me before the Olympics, you're going to put on about 5 kilos, but you're going to win the Olympics and you're going to have a great fun, you're going to be very social, and you're going to celebrate, I'd been like, absolutely. So that's happened.
Got you. Take us to Wimbledon. Hello magazine shoots, sports personality. I mean, what a whirlwind you've been on.
Oh, do you know what? A lot of these things are kind of dreams as a child, that you see other people doing them and being part of. And it's something that you just wish one day that could be you, or it's just a fairy tale. And I seem to have kind of landed amongst the stars, if that makes sense, in terms of what I've done, what the team's done. And we got back from Beijing, and I think it was 2 days later, not even, we were doing the Hello magazine shoot, and then Wimbledon Royal Box. And a funny story about that, actually, I was sitting at the closing ceremony in Beijing, and we're just sitting watching the show, whatever, and I just suddenly came to me, I was like, oh my God, we get to go to Wimbledon, we might even get the Royal Box. So like, it's small things like that you don't get unless you're an Olympic gold medalist. And when you get those opportunities, because you have to take them, because I'm never ever going to get them again. And sports personality, like what an honor that was to even be in the short list, to be top 6. And never did I ever imagine I would be top 3. And especially ahead of sports, you've got your snooker, you've got football, you've got, you name it, athletics, and curling. Like the sport of curling's like kind of beating those guys. You just never think that's going to be the case.
But you've in a household name. You've put curling on the map to that point that people, you'll have created so much interest in curling, and I know you'll still stay around curling. How do you see your involvement in the future of curling? And you may be already very much involved in it now, but do you see yourself, is it coaching roles? And I'm not asking you to commit to anything or anything here, but you're obviously going to hopefully stay involved, because what you have done for that sport and put it on, we all know you, we all know the sport now, we all follow it. And it's the next generations that need brought through, which I'm sure you're hopefully helping along as we see the next Winter Olympics approaching.
Well, that's exactly it. The sport of curling, it's given me so much throughout my career. Like I want to give back to sport, and curling has been my life since I left school, and I've experienced nothing else but school and full-time curling. So for me right now, I am just probably enjoying life away from curling for a little while, but it's not that I'm not involved in it. Like I'm doing a lot of commentary for the sport. Coaching wise, it's not something that I have stepped into just yet. Never say never, but right now it's not the path I'm going down. But I always will be very passionate about the sport of curling. I always will try and help grassroots. I'll try and develop the sport. And as you say, for me and for the rest of the girls as well, like you've got 5 Olympic gold medalists there. You've got the boys who got silver at the Winter Olympics. Like the sport of curling's never been in a better place. So we've got to capitalize on that. And hopefully next Olympics in Cortina, we can still push for more medals.
You mentioned your teammates there. Now, I didn't see you at the Royal Yacht Britannia for the Doddie Aid row, I was hosting the live feed across the social platforms, and Jen Dodds was there. And what a laugh, what an effort, so much fun. And I just, if she does listen to this, or if you speak to her, just congratulate her for the effort she put in on that day. The work ethic from her team and everybody was outstanding.
Yeah, like I was sad that, and I was disappointed I couldn't make that day, but unfortunately I had a few other bits on. And Jen, like she's an unreal rower. She's all round a very good sports person, and like Jen either gives it 0 or 100. So I can imagine her going flat out to get as many miles as she could on that rowing.
I will touch on that as a skip, as the captain of a team. How did you lead your team? How did you, if you say a 0 or 100 there, how do you identify what mood one of your teammates is in, how to approach the one that's maybe not performing or the one that is up for it on that day? How did you lead your team?
I think a lot of that comes through experience. And over the years, I've learned so much about different people, different teams, how teams work, how coaches work, and different roles within that. And as much as I'm the leader of the team, like I'm a firm believer that everybody is a leader within their own roles. I was a leader within my roles. The girls were the leaders for their own roles. And I think over the years, when you know a lot about people, you know when to kind of sit back, but then you know when to push forward as well, and when to push on as a skip, as a captain. And you've got to kind of pick and choose the right times to do that. And as a team, I think when you spend so much time together, traveling, you're sharing hotel rooms, you're eating together, you're training together, you're doing everything together, you get to know each other very, very well. And it's figuring out what each individual wants, what respect they want, what motivation, what push on, push off they want or need to perform. So it's something that it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a case of developing the right kind of aspects of knowing when to be a leader in what certain ways. And the team in Beijing, I think, like, we were very, very open and honest with each other. We knew we all had each other's backs, and I'm so proud of how all of us took to the ice, how we dealt with challenge together. And just over time, we developed such a great kind of team bond and team unit, which of course made us enjoy it. And when you enjoy sport, when you enjoy being on the ice, it makes for good curling, and usually wins as well.
And how were you as captain at taking their input or or having to deal with criticism against you or your performance?
Of course, like we all get criticism, we all get honest words said to us. And what I found as a skip over the years, like I used to take everything to heart. I used to always worry what other people think. And I still do that, I must admit. And I always think that you try keeping 4 girls happy. Like it's difficult. And that's where I think male and female are slightly different. Like for guys, they can be open and honest, had a bit of a kind of really tough conversation, a bit of a fallout, but they'll go and have a pint at the bar later and they'll be best pals. Like for girls, that can take weeks, months, years, never to rekindle. So I think as a team, we respected that when we were in work mode, like we really were open and honest with each other. But then when we were in friendship mode, when we were in let's have a laugh mode, talking hair, talking nails, then we can have a laugh and we can switch off and we don't take things serious. So I think that kind of balance between switching on and switching off is something that we did very well.
What's the changing room environment like before going out to an Olympic final compared to getting ready for Wimbledon?
Very different. Let's just say Wimbledon, there was a few glasses of bubbly going. The Olympic final, not so much.
What was that morning like? What was the process to the Olympic final to getting to the rink, getting there together, and getting out there and starting? Because were the nerves, or were you so confident in what you were capable of doing? What was the feeling like on that day?
Yeah, there was of course there was nerves. There's always going to be nerves at an Olympic final. And if I'm honest, I would say there was more nerves or definitely from myself before the semi-final, because the semi-final, it's such a kind of crunch game that you win that, you're kind of in the final, you've got a chance for gold. You lose that, you only have one last go at a medal. So the semi-final was definitely a tough game, and well, it showed in results as well. Like losing a 4 in the first end and still winning doesn't usually happen, but for us that week it did happen. So the final, we had a day off after our semi before the final. So that day we managed to keep quite busy, which was good. The boys played their final, we went in and supported them. But then it's a case of coming back and trying to stick to your usual routines as much as you can. And regardless of whether we were in a round robin game during the week or whether we were the Olympic final, you try and keep the same routine that's working for you. And I think that's what we did. And of course, there was pre-game nerves, but I know for myself, as soon as I step on the ice, start throwing stones and being a leader, those nerves just seem to go. I seem to kind of just get into the game and be fully focused on the game in hand.
How are you now? We touched on it slightly, but on your own, you're so used to a team environment, and let alone forget being captain or anything, but just having the girls around you, a coach, physios and all that. How are you on your own? Because I've spoken to guys and girls that have left rugby. You used to have a squad around them all the time too. They're on their own.
Yeah, that's one thing that's different, and it's hard. And I'll be honest, there's times that you're pretty lonely, because as much as you've got friends, you've got family, and they're all around you. Like what you say, when you're in a kind of athlete environment within a team sport, you're seeing these guys every single day of your life. And then suddenly when you stop, you don't see them at all. So that's hard. It is hard. And like we still keep in touch, like a lot, me and the team. But do you know what? It was always going to happen one day, wasn't it? Like I was never ever going to stay in the sport of curling for all my days. So it's kind of happened now, and that's what I chose to do. And I'm lucky enough that, as I said before, I finished on top. So I've got a lot of things going on. And yeah, it's just kind of embracing that for now.
And it's working out. All the things you'll have sacrificed and the people you won't have seen because you've been traveling the world.
You know what? That's probably one of the things that I've loved about retiring, is being able to catch up with friends, family that I haven't seen for ages, or I have seen, but you see them once every year. And then now I'm like, well, yeah, I can go for a coffee on Friday, or yeah, let's go out and have a few drinks on Saturday night and some dinner. Like you can do that. In the past, oh, sorry, I'm away to Switzerland, or I'm off to Canada, training Sunday morning. Like you choose to be that athlete, and that's the sacrifices you make. And now I can say yes, which is great.
You see, starting from so young and committing to the sport, and I know, and I've watched all the stuff you do, how good you are at golf and other sports, and what interests you have. But there'll be parents listening to this. I'm a parent. I've got 3 kids. My kids love sport. We're out and about all the time. There'll be times as they progress through their 8. My oldest is 8 at the moment. When she gets into her teens and things like that, if she loves something, that she'll want to quit.
Yeah,
Her pals won't be good at it.
yeah, that is the worry, isn't it? That kids, like, it's not cool. They don't want to do it. Sport's not cool. And I'll be honest, like, God, I went through that time that you're thinking, is this really a cool thing to do? Like, I remember saying that I forgot my PE kit because PE wasn't a cool thing to do. And like what you say, I play a lot of golf, and every Tuesday I would walk up and play the medal on Tuesday evenings after school. And it's like, oh, you're going to golf? Yeah. And then I'd curl. Oh, you're curling. And it's like, as much as maybe these sports aren't the cool sports to do, it's not your kind of hockey, it's not your kind of football and the kind of popular sports. Well, golf is, of course, but maybe not so much for females back then. It makes it difficult. So it's making sure and realize that you've got to do what you want to do. And I'm going back to the kind of the phase of not worrying what other people think. Because if everyone worried what other people thought, then we wouldn't really do anything, would we? So it's kind of pushing through that and doing what we want to do as individuals.
Do you enjoy the social media side of things now? Because obviously I know it'll help with sponsorship and exposure and showing brands and businesses and all sorts of things, what you're out there doing, what you're looking for. But I'm guessing that when you started, there wasn't, even for me, we look back 10, 15 years, there wasn't the social media like there is now. There wasn't the Instagram and the things. Do you think that was a benefit, not having so much of that as you were younger coming up, and you could be focused on yourself without seeing what your pals were doing on nights out and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think, well, it's like you sometimes you go out now for some dinner or something, and you look across at the table and everyone's heads are in their phones, aren't they, on social media. But as you say, back when I was younger, we didn't have such a thing. And it's one thing that the advice I would give to anyone going to like a major competition, a major games, like I put all my social media off, and it just completely takes away that distraction for you. And I'll be honest, like I didn't miss it at all. And like what you say, social media is starting to take over a lot of things now. And I need to get better at it. I still am learning a lot. And it's one of those things that you always want to build up your brand and build up your followers, of course, but it's not being fake with it. It's being real. And that's what I always try and do, is be me, because at the end of the day, people want to know about me. That's why they follow you. They don't want to see a kind of fake Eve or anything like that. So that's what I try and do, and just be honest, be real. And that's what I think social media should be about.
I agree. And the power that you can promote of the highs and lows of retiring from sport, because so many people will see gold medalist and they'll see on magazines and they'll see all this, but you've said that sometimes it can be lonely. You know, I don't have my team around me. That it's very honest of you. It's refreshing to hear that the honesty in what it's actually like now, because you look at an Instagram post and you're on Wentworth and you're golfing, or
I know, well, that's
really cool.
Yeah.
But you're talking on podcasts about what it's really like. It's great.
No, absolutely. Like, I think like there's a lot behind that person. And if you think about it, a year ago next week, I was standing on top of that podium with my Olympic gold medal. Like, what way is there for there? I guess the only way is down, isn't it? So like, it is definitely, everything's not like rosy all the time. Of course, you're an Olympic gold medalist. It doesn't change me as a person. Like, I'm still Eve Muirhead, and it doesn't define me as a person, and it never ever will. It's just another title that I have. And I think if, as much as I can be real and be me, I will, and I always will be.
I think watching what you've done in following social media and the things we're talking about is how much you've achieved at such a young age to step away from the sport, and what the potential is in you now to achieve such greatness in other aspects of your life.
Well, I really do. I really hope so, because as much as I'm 32 now, almost 33, like I'm not getting any younger, and I want to, as I say, like experience life away from sport, or away from being an elite athlete, because it consumes your life. And it's not all roses all the times. And believe you me, I've had a lot more lows than highs throughout my career. I've lost a lot more games than I've won. And everyone during the Olympics, during the Worlds, Europeans, they see you performing. They see probably the good parts, but they don't see what goes on behind the scenes and all the blood, sweat, and tears every single day. So it's refreshing to hear that from other athletes as well, and knowing it's not just me that kind of sees that. So it's it's a journey, that's for sure. And I'll be honest, like I still am in that kind of transition stage, and I know it's going to take years for me to move away. I've only been away from elite sport for about 6 months, and I expect it'll take at least about probably 6 years until I know what I'm doing.
You see, when you're on the ice and it's high tension, is there any like under the breath digs against the other team? I'm not saying from you, but are your teams talking to each other? Is anything going on, like the cricketers on the wicket or anything like that?
That's funny. Like curling's one of those sports that there isn't much sledging that goes on. If I'm perfect, no, honestly, there's not. No, there isn't. It's funny because I'm very good friends with a lot of my competitors, and but as soon as you are on the ice, like God, you want to beat them, don't you? And it's the same. It's the same every single time that you're playing these guys. But when you're off the ice, like you're all kind of friends. But what I will say is it's funny, the Olympic environment, because I always notice it, like everyone's very different in Olympic Games. You're kind of walking on the food hall and I see some people that like you're kind of your competitors or whatever. And usually at different championships, like, oh, hey, what are you up to? Blah, blah, blah. The Olympics, it's like, right, we're at the Olympics. It's a big deal.
And what were you like as a person, obviously maturing through time, but your first Olympics to Beijing? What are your memories of the first one compared to you at each Olympics? Were you all excited at the first one and, dead serious?
Yeah,
How was it for you?
No, definitely. I would say back in Vancouver, I was the skip of the team and I was only 19, and I was skipping Jackie. She'd won the World Championships. Kelly, I think she had 3 Scottish titles under her belt, and like so I'm the leader and trying to be the captain of these girls, and that was hard, and that took a lot of energy to be able to do that. But like what you say as well, I was definitely still learning back then. And there's so many aspects of that games that I look back and I realize how much it benefited me, how much I learned. Because like, yeah, as I say, I was probably a bit like, I was immature. I was still learning. Like McDonald's, I was probably there about every single meal. The opening ceremony, really? The kit, I was like, you're like in rabbit and headlights at these kind of things, and I don't think I hit the gym once during that week. And I look back then and I just look to see how much the sport has moved on, and I think that's thanks to every country though, because every country's pushing one another, and we always want to stay that little step ahead of the other countries. And back then, curling was very different when it came to the kind of physical fitness and even the amount of hours put in general. Now it's very, very different. And it was a completely different Olympic Games for me in Beijing than what it was in Vancouver.
How did the older teammates take to you being named skip at 19 years old?
Good question. Like, do you know what? We all had a lot of respect for each other. I had a huge amount of respect for every single one of those teammates, because I knew they came with so much experience. As much as I didn't come with as much experience, I'd like to think that I came with quite a lot of talent, and we bounced off each other. Like I learned a ton from them, and I'd like to think they probably learned a bit from me as well. But it was just like what I spoke about earlier. It's about being that kind of leader within your role. Like Jackie, who was such an experienced skip, and Kelly, like it was me letting them in and giving me help, giving me advice when needed, but then vice versa as well. Like if they needed any help or advice, then we'd go kind of down that route. So it was really working as a team as much as we could, but it was always going to be very difficult when you did have like 3 skips, 3 captains on the same team. It's like if you look at a football team, like you're never ever going to have like 11 strikers on the field, are you? Mm-hmm. You need to have people who are very good, or who are very good in each certain position. And in Vancouver, that maybe wasn't the case, but I think we dealt with it and we worked with it as best as we could.
Now, I want you to be honest here. You said there was quite a bit of McDonald's when you were 19. Was there any McDonald's in Beijing?
No, because McDonald's are not a sponsor anymore.
Oh, right. Well, okay. Burger King, what was the sponsor?
It was KFC and Pizza Hut. But let's just say I think it was the physio actually, I'm not name dropping anyone, but she went and got a KFC one day and she came back, and I'm no word of a lie, this chicken burger was, I think it had some green in it had some brown. Oh, it looked revolting. Let's just say the prior 3 Olympics, the food was definitely a little better than Beijing.
Is that right? Was that famous story of Usain Bolt when he had the chicken nuggets?
Chicken nuggets, yeah.
He knew what was in a McDonald's chicken nuggets and didn't want to risk
Absolutely, but he didn't know what was in the rest.
Exactly, and he won gold. Hey, it worked for him. It worked for him. Eve, let's finish on Doddie Aid. I know I won't keep you too long. Doddie Aid, obviously, as I said earlier, they're going to roll into Murrayfield tomorrow for Scotland versus Wales. Doddie Aid comes to an end, and it looks like the North and Midlands are that far ahead, unless the other districts, I forget who's in second place. I should really know that. But unless the other districts sit on their bikes tonight, they put in a power of work. It looks like you're going to take the title. You must be pleased. You're so proud. Yes, I know, but you must be so proud of the North and Midlands.
Very, very proud of everyone that signed up to North and Midlands, and like what a year it's been. Like it has been incredible. We've raised so much money, and let's just hope every year we get better and better. But most importantly, every year North and Midlands keep on top.
I looked this afternoon. I think over 8,500 members, over £170,000 raised, and over 790,000 miles covered.
It's incredible, isn't it? It really is.
North and Midlands. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And a few of those miles are mine for that marathon.
Good on you. Good on you. Well, Eve, I really appreciate it. It's been great to have you on. Congratulations with everything you've achieved, and I can't wait to follow your future career and everything that you're going to achieve from now on.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.